Freedom, episode number 54. Hello again, this is Sean Terry from the Flip to Freedom podcast, and we are on episode number 54. Now, if you're listening for the very first time, I'd like to welcome you and let you know that I have put this podcast together for you to show you how to escape the 9-to-5, get out of the rat race, quit your job, be done with corporate America, and live the life of freedom. Now, you're going to learn how to do this by flipping properties in your spare time, even if you have no cash. I don't care if you have any cash at all. You can do this. No credit. No one will ever ask for your SSN, Social Security number, to pull your credit. Or if you don't have any experience. I don't care if you know nothing about real estate or have never bought a house before, you can do this. Now, how do you flip properties? What is quick turning real estate? Well, it's as simple as marketing for a motivated seller. And that motivated seller could have equity, that motivated seller could have little equity, or that motivated seller can have no equity. You can still make a profit as long as they're a motivated seller. And let's say, for an example, you have a motivated seller and the house is worth $100,000 and they owe $95,000, right? And then what you do is you find a buyer. In this case, you'd find a retail buyer, someone that's going to look in the house, wants to buy it, to live in it, and they can't get a bank loan, so they're looking for seller financing, someone that can carry the loan. Well, you can structure this particular deal by doing a wrap of the existing loan. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to contract with a seller for minimal down. They have no equity. You give maybe $1,000 or so. And then you're going to contract with a buyer for a higher down payment. Let's call it $10,000 down. Well, guess what? You bring both those contracts to a title company and you instruct them to do an assignment or what's called a double escrow. Very simple. And you take them both. And what will happen is the buyer will come in with the $10,000 down, of which $1,000 is going to go to the seller, $9,000 is going to go to you. And you can do this over and over and over again. Now, it could work with a cash buyer, just making a spread. It could work with if there's minimal equity. But the bottom line is finding that motivated seller and then how to negotiate the deal. And that's what this podcast is all about. Now, this particular episode, we are going to talk about $3 million secrets revealed. $3 million secrets revealed. It's basically, there are missing puzzles, right? People, and the biggest missing puzzles. People, say, well, if I know this one thing, then it's going to change my business. So what are these 3 missing puzzles to turn around and make the whole thing come together? Now, we're going to talk about, in this particular episode, how to sort motivated sellers. How to determine if a motivated seller is motivated or they're not motivated. Okay, we're going to talk about that. That is very important. Number 2 is how to profit from high equity, low equity, and no equity deals, just like we talked about in the beginning. Okay, and also we're going to talk about how to scale your business to 5 figures a month. Okay, how to take your business from nothing or just getting started, maybe you have a couple deals under your belt, and how to scale it up to 5 figures a month. And also we're going to talk about how to overcome fear. You would not believe how many people I know that have, bought courses from real estate, went to real estate investment clubs, learned education, read blogs, gathered all this information, and there's this fear that's inside people that stops them from taking action. Well, we're going to try to annihilate that fear in this particular podcast. Now, if you want to know more about me, you can actually go to flip2freedom.com, flip2freedom.com. I wrote a 129-page comprehensive detailed blueprint that you can download for free. Just go to flip2freedom.com. You'll see a video of me on the front page. Just enter your email address and I will email you a special link of where you can download. I've had people tell me that they spent well over $1,000 for the same information I'm giving away for free. It's a 19-week program on exactly how to quit your job in 19 weeks or less. Also, if you want to know more, you can listen to episode number 1, and I kind of tell the whole story of exactly why I started the podcast and how I got into real estate. It's pretty actually hysterical. How I got started, because I'm a big goofball, and boy, man, I tell you, starting real estate was difficult for me. I had a dead-end job, and it was tough getting my first deal, and I kind of lay it all out in episode number 1 if you want to listen to that. Now, also, before I get into the meat here, I'd like to thank a couple people that actually went into iTunes and they searched the Flip to Freedom. They went to iTunes store under podcast. They searched Flip to Freedom, and they actually took the time and went out and wrote a review in iTunes about the podcast. And we got 55 reviews in there as of this recording. And we had someone, actually, Pastor Terrell, on June 1st, 2011, 5 stars, said, "We love this podcast, and here is why. My wife and I have been trying to figure out a way to supplement our income for the past 2 years in a way that really makes sense with our current income and available time. We both decided that real estate investing could be the best way, but after spending money on other people's books and going to some seminars, we learned a lot about real estate, but not exactly how to apply it in today. And that is why we love Sean so much. His information is clear, direct, and he motivates like no other. And that's coming from a pastor." Thanks so much. "I encourage anyone thinking about doing real estate to download these podcasts and make it a part of their education. And, FYI, because Sean has inspired us so much, within the last week we've already assembled our dream team, and we have our first motivated seller in the pipeline. We will see how it goes, but I am not worried, because with our faith and Sean's training, I know that we will walk out with the meeting of the property with a contract." Thank you, Sean. You are a true blessing. Well, thank you so much, Pastor, for submitting that podcast, that review. I greatly appreciate it, for taking the time and doing that. The next one is from DFW SEM, whatever that stands for. But he actually went in, or she went in, and actually on June 2nd put, "Awesome content. I have paid literally thousands for other real estate training, and I have to say I have got much or more from these podcasts." Now, these podcasts are free. "He must be a great mentor and able to sample his program this way. Brilliant marketing strategy. I am sure his conversions rate is off the chart." Yes, they actually are, by the way. But thank you so much for going in there and submitting that review and taking the time to do that. All right, enough of the jibber jabber. Let's get into the meat of what we're talking about here. All right, the secret puzzles, of what's missing, and, I survey my email list, subscriber list pretty regularly, and try to find out what's the biggest obstacles to starting people. I can tell you fear is a definite major obstacle that stops people, but also really understanding, how to sort motivated sellers. Now here's the big picture of what we're doing here. And what we're doing is we're finding properties, and we're finding properties that are either hard to sell properties or properties that with a motivated seller. Now, a motivated seller is someone in an urgent situation. Now, picture this. All these sellers, we're going to be all this marketing out there, and all this marketing would be online marketing that we do, that I teach. We talk about direct mail marketing using the yellow letter and specific lists. We also talk about postcard mailing. We talk about bandit signs. Well, all this marketing is going into this massive funnel. Okay? And this huge, big picture, this big funnel at the top. All these leads are going in. Okay, this funnel. At the end of the funnel is a spout. Now, this spout, there's going to be 2 types of leads that come out. There's going to be what's called motivated sellers, and there's going to be what's called non-motivated sellers. Now, what I find is working with new people is there is a difficulty in determining who is motivated and who is not motivated. And that is crucial because guess what? If you can't tell the difference between a motivated and a non-motivated seller, then you're going to be running around in circles talking to people, making offers, saying the wrong thing, or not saying the wrong things, but just talking to people and wasting time. And that is not the thing. See, what I do is that I only focus on motivated sellers, and that's only who I talk to. And I might go on 7 to 10 appointments a month, and I might get 5 or 6 deals and turn around and flip 5 or 6 properties to 10 properties because I'm only talking to motivated sellers. And how long does it take to get a contract? Maybe an hour or so. So what? 6 or 10 hours a month, really, to go out, and if you average to $8,000 to $10,000 per property, you're talking about some huge income that can be generated by this business. Okay, so let's talk about that sorting. So this funnel, all the leads come in, they come out the other end, and we got to determine who's motivated and who is not motivated. Okay, so now the first thing we got to do. Okay, first thing we have to do. Now picture this, right? You put your mailers out, or you got your internet marketing out. A call comes in, and now you're on the phone with a motivated seller. What do you got to do? What's the first thing you got to do? And in your mind, right, you're thinking, you're going, okay, I am trying to basically find out. You're almost not really like a detective, but you're talking to the seller, and you're looking for those hints of motivation. Okay? So the first thing you do is you look for the story. What is the story? What is the situation? Why did they are motivated enough to get your letter or get your postcard, or whatever, and pick up the phone and call? Why? What's that story? So when a seller calls in, the first thing I do is, they call them and say, hey, I just received your your nice yellow letter in the mail, and first off, I just want to see, you wanted to buy my house. What's up with that? And I'm going to say, hey, thanks so much for calling. I greatly appreciate it. We're looking for, some either rental properties or fix and flip properties, and I absolutely love the area you're in, for one. So that answers the question of who you are and stuff like that. And say, listen, what's the reason you're thinking about selling? Now, you just ask a simple question, right? And what they're going to do is, and they're going to go and they're going to start talking about whatever. Okay, and that whatever could be, I'm thinking about selling because I just got a divorce. I can't pay for the house. We got to get rid of it by a certain time frame, and we just got to be done with this house. Or I just got transferred out of state. I can't make 2 mortgage payments, and we just really, really want to sell the house right now. Or I'm out of state. I live in a different city. I have a renter. The renter just moved out. The house is vacant right now, and I don't have the money to get it fixed up, so I just want to sell. Now, do you see an underlying thread there? Okay, and what the underlying thread is there is an urgent situation, an impending event, something. Another one might be, say, hey, listen, my house is in foreclosure. It's going to go to sale coming up, and I just got to figure out a way to get some money and get out and move or just sell the house or do whatever. I got to find a solution for it. Or I've had the house on the market for almost 8 months now. I can't sell it, and if I sell it, I'm going to have to come out of pocket with money. And I just don't have money. I'll just let it go before I do that. Well, those are all motivation signs right there that people tell you. Now, what if someone comes, right, and says, what is a non-motivated seller? Or someone says, I have this rental property for years. It's been great, and I'm just trying to get the highest price I possibly can for it. Now, what's the impending event? What's the urgent situation where they have to sell? It's not really there. I'll give you an example. I talked to a guy a couple days ago. He called up and said, hey, I've had this property for years. I got a great renter in there. And, I got your letter. I just thought I'd give you a call. I'm thinking about doing a home equity loan to start another business. I don't really need the money, for the property right here. But, I just thought I'd see what you'd offer for it. And if the number's pretty good, then, then great. If not, then I'll just hold on to it for another couple of years. Now, would you classify that person as a motivated or non-motivated seller? See, me, I classify that as a non-motivated seller. Now, am I going to make him an offer? Heck yeah, I'm going to make an offer. It's going to be a lowball offer, right? Because he wants to see what the number is. But 99.99999% of the chance of the time is that they are going to say, oh, no, I'll just hang on to the property. Because there's no reason why they have to sell. Okay? What you're doing is you're looking for that reason. And the best way is to ask, say, listen, what's the situation? What do you're going to sell the property. What's the biggest reason you want to sell the property? And then shut up. See, the thing is, you got to listen. Don't try to overtalk them. Don't try to, whatever. What you want to do is you're listening, and you're doing two things when you're listening and ask that question. Number one is you're listening to try to find that urgent situation. And number two is you're listening to build a connection to build rapport. Okay? Those are the two things that you are doing, and your motive on the phone to do is to basically build rapport and find out what that urgent situation is. Okay? That is paramount. That's the number one thing you want to do. Now, if someone is super motivated, and they go, hey, listen, I'm out of state. I just got, like, for an example, another lead that came in, this guy called me up and said, hey, I'm out of state here. I just got to get rid of this property. It's draining me right now. I've got these tenants in here that completely drive me nuts. I just want to get rid of it. Okay, that would be a motivated seller. Someone that's motivated, someone that has an urgent. Now, some people might pose like that, but then when you actually get to the appointment, it's going to be a different story. So you kind of really got to drill down and qualify them exactly why they want to get rid of it. What's the biggest thing that's bothering you with the property? I just don't have any money to deal with it. Is there any behind on any taxes or some financial problem or whatever? You're looking for that urgent something that's happening. Okay, enough of the story thing. All right, now, the next thing you want to do is you want to ask a couple questions. Okay? And a couple questions is this. Number one is that if we could come to agreement today, how fast would you like to sell your property? So the first thing you do is you're going to talk about the story, and you're going to kind of get into that. And you're going to start building a rapport with them. And how do you build rapport? What you do is you try to find something to relate with them. Okay? What would be something that could relate with them? I don't know. Someone maybe that's interested in sports, and they say something about, or maybe from a different city, or like Chicago. Oh yeah, I am from Chicago. I was born and raised there, and I bought this rental property because I thought Phoenix was going to be great, and I had this tenant in there that was going great for a while, but the tenant moved out. Now I've had 6 tenants in there in the past 6 months, and I cannot get someone to stick. Every time they move out, it's going to cost me money. The AC just broke on the property, and I just can't afford to keep this property anymore. And oh, you're from Chicago? Yeah. How long have you lived in Chicago? Oh, yeah, it's beautiful out there, isn't it? Oh, yeah, Chicago's great. Now, have you ever thought about coming out here to Phoenix? Oh, no, I hate Phoenix. Phoenix, it's just too hot out there. I got suckered into buying this property, and, this, that, and the other. So what you're doing is trying to talk about, Chicago. Oh yeah, I got a friend out in Chicago, man. He absolutely loves it. He lives in outside the city there in the suburb of whatever, and you're just trying to find something to relate and build rapport with them. Okay, and then after that, after you build rapport, you find out the story, you understand that they have an urgent and then to say, listen, Mr. Seller, say, listen, you know what? If we could put something together, we could agree on a price or whatever. How fast are you looking to sell? Oh man, if I could get rid of this thing yesterday, I would. That would be a sign of motivation. So you did another qualification on them. Okay. Now, what would be a non-motivation? Non-motivation is like, hey, how quick you looking to sell? I said, well, I'm not really of a rush. If we come to something, 30, 45 days or whatever. Like I said, we can do it pretty much, whatever. I've had the property for 20 years, and if I get rid of it tomorrow, whether I get rid of it tomorrow or 6 months from now, it's not going to really matter. So that would be a non-motivated signs of someone that's not motivated. Okay. Next question. Okay. What are you looking to get for the property? Ballpark. So after you build the rapport, you find out the story, you go, hey, listen, Mr. Seller, have you any idea what you're looking to get for the property? I mean, just ballpark. Obviously I haven't seen it. I don't know what it looks like. I haven't been in the neighborhood, and stuff. But do you have any idea what you're thinking to get for it? And two things are going to happen. Number one, they're going to say, I have no idea. And then you go, and then you ask again. Say, well, just give me a ballpark, an idea of what you're thinking. Just so we're on the same page. Because obviously I don't want to waste your time or my time, but just give me an idea what you're thinking. Obviously it's your house. What are you thinking? Well, just make me an offer. Okay, that would be another sign of motivation of non-motivation, of someone that really wants to sell their house and they really have an impending event or something. They don't screw around and just say, hey, why don't you just make me an offer? They're going to give you an idea of what they're thinking. Now, they might not know exactly. Now, a lot of people, they might say, hey, I owe $70,000 on the house, and, if you could just get me out of what's owed on the property, that'd be great. Okay, and the house is worth $120,000. I've heard people say that. So, well, guess what? Now you know you can buy it for the mortgage. So if you give them $1,000, it's your deal. You know what I mean? So that's a great question. And what you do is when you ask it, and someone says, if someone goes, hey, give me, okay, what are you looking to get for the property, right? And you say a ballpark. Just give me a ballpark number what you're looking to get for the property. Just an idea. Because I've talked to so many people, especially people from out of state. They are completely skewed and have no clue what values are. So, obviously, I don't want to waste your time or my time. But I've had one guy I was talking to on the phone. He's telling me he wants $100,000 for a house that's worth $40,000. It's crazy. Now I know you're not going to, you're not like that. But just give me a ballpark idea of what you're thinking. And now you just set him up, right? So, and you're basically letting him know that you don't want to have someone waste your time. So he comes out and he they might not say give you a ballpark number, but it's a way to test motivation. I'll push 2 or 3 times, to try to get a ballpark number at him before I spend my time and go down to the property. Okay, now. That is how to basically, find out if there's motivation. Now, what if you get signs that you have a question or a doubt? Okay, and a question or a doubt of like motivation, or what if you ask that question about ballpark and it's way higher than what the comps are on the property? Okay, well, guess what? You don't want to drive down the property. The owner wants 100 and the thing's worth 40, right? That's a waste of time. I wouldn't drive down there. Now, the guy might have all the motivation. He might have the story, want to have the impending event, want to have all this information, but he is not realistic with the price. So then what you do is then you go to what's called the soft pass. That's what I call it, the soft pass. And what you're doing is now you're giving a ballpark price. Now, rule of thumb, number 1, if you have a high motivated seller that's extremely motivated, you never name the number first. That's why I always drill pretty hard on the ballpark price. And number 2, if you have to name the number, if you can't get a ballpark price out of them, and if you are having a question of motivation, then your number best below. Best below. And how do you do that? Well, what you do is this. Is that a soft pass is you look, and you can use Zillow to do this, of all the lowest of the low comparable sales. So let's say you go inside Zillow, you pull up the address, and you see all these properties that have sold, and you have properties that are currently active on the market. You want to pick the lowest of the low that's in that particular neighborhood. And now you're going to see stuff for $40,000, stuff for $50,000, stuff for $30,000, stuff for let's talk about our $100,000 property there. And that's worth 40. So, let's say you got stuff for 40,000, 30,000, 22,000, whatever. So what you're going to do is you are going to use the lowest of the low as the high number. Okay, so then you're going to be talking to the seller, and you're going to say, hey, listen, now I'm just looking online right now at some of the stuff, what's going on, and in the particular neighborhood. And obviously, I got to go check out and look at these, but it looks like stuff is going from $15,000 to $22,000, or $12,000 to $22,000 for properties in your neighborhood. Do you have any idea? And they're going to be like, whoa, man, I had no idea. Well, I said, honestly, I'm an investor and I typically don't pay retail for properties, but, I'm going to be around that particular ballpark price, and this was without even looking at your property, but, if those numbers work, I'd love to come down and see the property, but if not, I understand. So what's going to happen is that now you're setting pretty much the idea of where you're going to be at. That's another way to test motivation. Now, that is my last backup. I do not come out with any type of numbers on the phone unless I've tried a ballpark and I have a question of motivation right? And they're not willing to give me a ballpark, or maybe the impending event isn't strong enough. Or the urgency to sell isn't strong enough. I'm not 100% convinced that I need to set an appointment. For me to set an appointment to go down and talk to a motivated seller, there has got to be something there. I'll give you an example. We flipped this other house, a fire-burnt house that Corey actually flipped. I actually talked to the sellers on that before actually going down there. And, the house burnt. Well, okay, that's the number one problem. So, okay, it's vacant. It's burnt down. It's burnt to a certain degree. And they already had a ballpark of I think it was $20-something thousand. Well, that was already in the ballpark. That was already, the ballpark was already there. We were close. And I think we got the property under contract for either $16,000 or $18,000, whatever, not far off their number, because the numbers made sense. So when you're doing that, when you're testing that motivation with people and doing what's called a soft pass, you use the lowest of the low comp as your high number and then back out anywhere from 3, 5, 10%, whatever the number might be. So in this particular example, I was going to have a $22,000 a high. I would say, listen, it looks like there's stuff between $15,000 to $22,000 in your particular neighborhood with a similar square footage that's for sale, or have sold. I said, well, I'm an investor. Obviously, I'm not going to pay retail for the property, but I'm going to be around those numbers. So if those numbers work for you, I'd love to come see the property. And then shut up, right? And then they're going to say, well, no way. There's absolutely no way I'd sell the property even close to those numbers. And then you go back again and you say, okay, great. What are you thinking? Okay, what's your ballpark? What are you thinking? And what they're going to do is then they'll reciprocate with a number. They should reciprocate. There's no way. You know what? I wouldn't sell it for less than $80,000. Well, guess what? You could have printed out the contract, printed out the comps. You could have printed out your letter of authorization. You could have went down, drove all the way down to the appointment, took time off of work if you're in the middle of work, whatever you've done. Take time on a Saturday, drive down to that appointment, meet the seller, walk through the entire house, built rapport, done whatever you're going to do, spent the hour with that seller going through. Then you get down to talking about numbers. You show them some low comparable sales, and they go, oh my gosh, there's no way I'd sell it for less than $8,000. Well, guess what? You wasted gas. You wasted time. You wasted all the way. Why not just nip it in the butt right up front? For me, when I'm talking to sellers, I don't go on an appointment unless I know and I have these things covered first. Okay? It saves you so much more time and so much more headache than run around talking to non-motivated sellers. So that is a soft pass. Okay? Now, if you do a soft pass and they go, yeah, I guess if that's what the numbers are, then let's do it. Then you would set the appointment and you could go down and you could talk to them. Okay? Now, what if they have a loan? Okay, what if they have a loan now? What if the house is worth 100? You got, low comparable sales in the property that's, well, the house is worth 100 and they owe 95, but it's worth 100 and they owe 95, so there's not much equity there. Then you could talk about, say, listen, I see that you just told me you owe $95,000 on the property. It looks like for me, there's stuff in there. They're going for $80,000, $82,000. There's one for 95, maybe one for 97 and stuff like that. Do you realize if you turn around and try to sell this property in the open market today, you're going to have to come to cash with closing? Are you in a position where you could come to cash with closing? And they're going to say, no. Right? So then you can say, listen, well, maybe we can work something out where we can keep your existing loan in place, right, for a certain amount of time and can get you a little bit of cash. Would you might be interested in that? We could talk about it and explore it further if you like. Yeah. But right now, especially with people who sell, there has to be that underlying motivation. Because there's so many people that have loans in place that might not have the motivation level. So I really, really test motivation level if they have a loan when I'm going to structure a seller finance deal, which we'll get into here in a second. And the next thing is this. Okay, so that's it for the how to sort. So I hope you understand how to sort. If you don't understand how to sort, on this particular post at flip2freedom.com, go and ask a question. But I think that pretty much covers all the bases. As long as you understand that the story is what is driving the whole thing. Once you understand the story and you use the story to build rapport with them, then you ask them a couple simple questions. Once you get these questions out of the way, and if you have any doubt whatsoever, boom, then you throw in a soft pass and some low numbers. That's going to really separate them. And if from that point forward, if you feel that they are confident, then you set the appointment. You don't go to every house that calls off your yellow letter. It's a sort. For every 25 leads that you get, one is going to be motivated, right? I mean, one's going to be a deal. Not motivated, but a deal. Okay, of where it's a high equity deal where you can flip it on like a fix and flip investor. You're going to have another 4 or 5 or so that are going to be motivated but are going to have loans in place. Okay, so out of maybe 25 leads that come in, 5 of those particular leads are going to be potential deals that you can make money off. The goal is to get rid of the 20, not spend time on the 20, and only focus on those 5 and how to maximize those 5. So your time on the phone is determining, do I spend my time driving the hours to go talk to these 20? Now, what I see is this. Is people don't understand how to sort motivated from non-motivated. They get 25 leads that come in, and they go and meet everybody. Because they're so excited. Oh my gosh, I got a lead coming in. Holy cow. Okay, great. When can I see the house? That'd be great. They don't do any qualification whatsoever on the front end to determine if there's motivation or not. So what happens is they get the calls coming in. They're so excited because, oh my gosh, I got calls coming in. It works. And then they go to appointment after appointment. Now, what if they go on 20 appointments and they go talk to sellers or people that are prospective sellers that called, and you go on 20 appointments and you're talking about lower numbers of where you need to be to make it work or structure seller financing, and they look at you like you're crazy. And you're going, does this really work? This doesn't work. I don't get it. How are people made? I went out and talked to 20 motivated sellers that called me, and I made offers, and this business doesn't work. Do you see how this is one key element or key puzzle piece? That if you miss this one piece, it is going to cause you frustration. It's going to cost you money driving around. It's going to cost you valuable time. Once you figure out how to sort motivated from non-motivated, then this business is going to be a breeze. Then you teach someone else. You have an assistant, a virtual assistant, whatever it might be, and you teach them how to sort motivated, non-motivated sellers. And then the only people you're talking to is motivated, and the only people I talk to is motivated sellers. And then in turn, I qualify them again. If my assistant has any doubt of who's motivated or non-motivated, boom, guess what happens? Then I'll turn around and call them. I'll clarify motivation by just doing exactly what I just told you. And if they're motivated, then I'm going to go on that appointment. And like I said, it might be 7 to 10 to 15 appointments a month, maybe. Get contracts, flip houses. You know what I mean? The most frustrating thing, I guess, from my side is when I have students I'm working with that don't understand this concept that I go on an appointment with them and they're a non-motivated seller. So now most of the time, as I have students I'm working with, they, here locally in my market here in Phoenix, is that what I'll do is I'll have them send me the telephone number. I'll qualify them on the phone. I remember I got this email from this guy. He said, oh my gosh, this guy is a motivated seller. He's motivated. This guy is the man. This is a motivated seller. He owes $370. The house is worth $700. This is a deal. This is going to be my deal. after about 2 minutes in the conversation, I knew the guy wasn't motivated. You know what I mean? First off, he had the property on the market. He was a realtor. He didn't need to sell. He was retired. He's got plenty of cash in the bank. He turned down offers for, pretty much above retail price. This guy's not motivated. He's so far from motivated, it's not even funny. He doesn't have to sell. There's no reason why he needs to sell. So I come back home and said, dude, that is not a motivated seller. That's about as far from a motivated seller as you can get. So the bottom line is this, is understanding this. Now, what if you really understand this and you have those 25 calls coming in and you understand how to sort motivated from non-motivated by asking the questions, making the soft passes, understanding it, knowing what you're looking for, and then you now go on only 5 appointments. Now what's your experience? See, your experience before is you went on 20 appointments, you made offers to non-motivated sellers that you thought were motivated, you got turned down on every single one, now you're depressed. You're hanging your heads between your legs. See, and you got started, you're telling your friends, oh, this is cranking, man, I'm getting calls coming in. I'm going to get rich. I'm getting rich this week. I know I did it. I did the same thing. This is it. I'm getting rich this week. Got calls coming in. I'm going on appointments. I'm talking to sellers. I'm bringing contracts. Guess what? 3 weeks later, you talked to 20 people that called in. You went and saw them. You met them. You walked through the house. You did the whole thing. And you left going, oh, I suck. This doesn't work. And guess what? Your friends are going, hey, making any money yet? What are you doing? Not yet. Do you understand? I know I'm emphasizing this, but I really, really want to drill the point home. That's your experience. If you go talk to 20 non-motivated sellers and you're making offers to them, your experience is going to be completely different is if you understand and only talk to motivated sellers and you go on 5 appointments and you land 5 deals. Do you see what I'm saying? And I think that is the difference between someone new, because they're so excited. They're, oh my gosh, this is great. I'm excited. I'm going to get rich. The phone calls are coming in. This is working. And they're running around talking to everybody and their brother, spending all this time. All your friends seeing her spend this time. Going on another appointment. And then you don't get the contracts and you're depressed. You go through these ups and downs. It's like, have you been on a roller coaster? What happens on a roller coaster? Like I was in Disneyland 2 weeks ago, and I took my kids and family. We all went out there, and we brought some friends with us and stuff right there. And they had this one roller coaster called Screaming something. But this roller coaster went up, and it went actually two loop-de-loops. And I was sitting in front with my 8-year-old daughter Ava. And we were hanging on. But you're going down this roller coaster, whoa, going down, and then shoot straight back up in the air. Going up, and then you're up, go down. That's what happens when people get in this business. They go on a massive roller coaster. Oh my gosh, I'm excited. I'm going to get rich. They put some yell letters out. They get calls coming in. Oh my gosh, I'm getting rich. And all of a sudden, you go on 20 appointments and non-motivated sellers. Boom! You crash down the bottom of the... Right? And then you listen to this episode, this podcast, right? And you're going, oh, I get it. And now you're excited again. And that's what I hope for you for this particular episode. Is because I know I've been there. I understand. I've been through the roller coaster. I get it. And I understood and knowing what is the difference between motivated and non-motivated, how crucial it is to your business, and how much time you can waste talking to non-motivated sellers. Now, don't go too far to the right where you're going out and you're drilling them and, but what you want, there's a happy medium of finding out the story, understanding the urgency, building rapport, testing those questions, asking about motivation, doing a soft pass correctly, and putting it together. All right, I just beat that down. So I hope you get it. All right, now let's talk about how to profit. This is key puzzle number 2. And how this is all going to make sense. Is that now you know what is motivated and non-motivated. But now do you know what is a deal and a no deal? Okay? Or how to structure a deal. Because see, once you get rid of all the non-motivated sellers and now you only focus on your 5 motivated sellers, right? Now those 5 motivated sellers are going to break up into 3 different piles. We have high equity, we have low equity, and we have no equity. The only deals that we don't deal with are deals where there is upside down. I don't touch them. Short sales, don't even want to deal with them. Don't deal with them. There might be people listening to this right now who are short sale experts. Well, listen. Hook up with a Flip to Freedom Academy member and take all their leads, whatever. Work with them on deal where you can do all their leads. Because I don't teach it. I do refer them out to a realtor, just because... I don't even refer to my wife. My wife is a realtor, but she doesn't even do short sales. So we just refer them out as a friendship type of thing. So anyways, so now, how to profit from high equity, low equity. So the leads come in, you do the separation, you got high equity, mid equity, low equity. So how do you structure a high equity deal? It's very simple. And this is basic understanding. A house is worth 100, you contract at 70% less repairs, less profit, and that's your offer price. Now, remember what we talked about before. We talked about doing a low pass. So you're going to do a low soft pass on that deal. But if you go out to the house, I never make an offer until I have a number first. And if I have to make an offer, the number is going to be a super low number. Okay? So now, actually, I went out to a house this morning, man. This place is beat up bad. Real bad, so bad. But you know what? He didn't know. He didn't have a ballpark. He didn't have anything. But you know what? I offered $2,500 for this house. $2,500 for this house. In this particular, I maybe could sell it for 10, maybe on a good day, but $2,500. But anyways, so this particular thing, right? On high equity, 70% less repairs. So 100,000, 70%. 70,000 less repairs is, say, 10,000. And 10,000 minus your profit or whatever you want to make on it equals your offer price. And then I'm not going to get into negotiation. If you want to get into negotiation, listen to episode number 42. Okay, and that talks exactly about how to motivate these different. How to negotiate these different ones. But understanding the process of high equity, low equity, and which is which, of course. It's easy to figure out which is which. But the high equity ones is easy. That's a simple cash flow, deal that you're getting at 70% less repairs. You're turning around selling it to a cash buyer. They're going to come in, they're going to fix and flip it. Okay? And typically what a fix and flip person does is they're looking anywhere from 63 to 72% of whatever the value is of that property. They're going to buy it somewhere. Each market's different, but it's around those particular numbers of what the ARV after repair value is. Okay, now let's talk about low equity deals. House is worth 100, they owe 80. What do you do? Or what about this? What about, I'm working on a deal right now. Houses, so give me an example. House is worth 600, they owe 550. What do you do? It's funny. I was talking to one of the guys that's he's in the Flip to Freedom Academy, and he was calling up, struggling on his one mindset is just straight high equity deals of just how to just fix and flip deals. 70% less repairs, make an offer. 70% less repairs, make an offer. Everything at 50% of value, and make the deals work. That's with his one mindset. That's the only way I can make money. So I asked him a simple question. I said, listen, if a house is worth 600 and they owe 550, and they're a motivated seller, key number one, motivated seller, how would you make money on that deal? And he's like, it was quiet on the phone. He was like, I don't know. And he's been doing deals. for quite some time. I mean, he's not a brand new, doesn't know anything about real estate. He's made money in real estate. He's flipped houses. He's done deals. And he goes, I don't know. So if a house is worth $600 and they owe $550, I'm asking you, how would you make money on that deal? If you have a motivated seller and they want out, what do you do? See, this is called a low equity deal. And it can work. Now listen to this. Listen to this. It can work for $100,000 houses, $50,000 houses, $600,000 houses, or $3 million houses. Okay? The key is obviously the buyer and the loan. Okay? So now, let's talk about how we can make money from this deal. $600,000, they owe $550. Okay? Now, the name of the game is this, is if you have the motivated seller, is to try to contract the property for the longest time possible, at least 5 years. And what you're going to do is structure it, and you're talking to the seller. Say, listen, Mr. Seller, if you're going to turn around and you're going to sell your house right now in the open market, well, guess what? You're going to get an offer at 90 to 95% of what the value of the property is. And then you're going to have to pay realtor commissions. You're going to have to pay closing costs. You're going to have to pay, other type of fees. You're also going to have to, fix up the property and whatever's, not fixed up. And then, right now, that's if you get a buyer, right? But right now, you might not know when a buyer is going to buy. You know what I mean? It may take 6 months, 8 months, or a year to find a buyer. So first off, are you willing to wait that time? Second off, are you willing to come to the table with money? And they're going to say no. Now, they're motivated, right? They want to get out of it. So you say, listen, what if we gave you, say, $5,000? It's better than coming out of pocket with money. Right? And we keep your $550,000 loan in place for the term of 5 years. And we structured it to where the deed does not transfer. Meaning we do a land contract, or a contract for deed is what they call it, or a agreement for sale is what they call it here in Arizona. Title doesn't transfer, but the buyer comes in. Now, let's just talk about the front side. So what are we structuring with the seller? We're structuring to keep the loan in place for the term of 5 years, $550. We're structuring to give the seller $5,000 at closing. Okay? Right? And the way the deed is transferred is via an agreement for sale, land contract, or contract for deed, depending on the state you're in. Okay? So what happens is you are wrapping that existing loan, and you're basically creating a new loan, and it's going to be exact wrap of that existing loan. So if the payments are $550,000, let's call them $3,000 a month, well, guess what? Those payments are $3,000 a month. The title company or escrow agent or closing officer will put all the paperwork. They'll make the contract for deed. They'll make all that paperwork together for you. You can have your seller's attorney review it if you like, all that information. Okay? And what you're doing now is now you have a simple contract. You don't need all the paperwork. You don't need the agreement for sale. You don't need the contract. You don't need any of that stuff. All you have is a simple contract with all your out clauses. Now, the out clauses are the clauses that if you can't sell the property, you can get out of the deal. And what would be an out clause? An out clause would be subject to you finding an end user buyer. Subject to you, subject to partner's approval, subject to an acceptable appraisal by buyer. All those are called out clauses. Okay? Now, make sure for disclaimer purposes, you review all the out clauses in any type of contracts you do with your attorney to make sure you're completely 100% covered. But the bottom line is you want to have some sort of out clauses in your contract. Okay? So now, I have a contract that I did. I didn't put up earnest money. All I did is sat down with the seller, and I contracted the deal where I could leave the existing loan in place for 5 years on an agreement for sale, and I agreed to give him $5,000. That's it. Now I have a contract with the seller. I take that contract, and I bring it to a title company, and I instruct them that I want to do either an assignment or a double escrow. Okay, and I want to do an agreement for sale or a land contract, and if they could prepare the documents for that. And I want the loan, the wrap loan, they're going to wrap, to be serviced by a servicing company. And that servicing company will collect payments from the buyer and turn around and make payments to the seller. Now, I prefer doing assignments on these deals, so then you're completely out of deal. You're just selling your position or selling your contract. Now what you're going to do is now you have a deal. Now you can market the property to a buyer, right? Now where do you find this buyer? You could find this buyer by talking to other realtors in the neighborhood, and a realtor would get paid by just tacking on their fee to a down payment. Okay, so how would you market this property? I would market the property for $50,000 down. That's what I do. $50,000 down. $550,000 seller financing for the term of 5 years. Payments, $3,000 a month. That's what I would market. Realtor, guess what? If you want to make any money on this thing, tack on your fee. You want to tack on $10,000, so it's $60,000 down. You want to tack on $20,000, put $70,000 down. If you have a buyer now that maybe can't get a loan or likes an area, now where do you find these realtors? In the same neighborhood. You just drive the neighborhood. There's going to be realtor signs all over the place. Just call them up and say, listen, I just got this property under contract. It's off market. It's a seller finance deal. It's $50,000 down with $550,000. If you got any buyers looking for this particular neighborhood, let me know. And just tack on your fee on top of the price. Boom! And now you got other realtors out there looking for it. You post it on Craigslist. Okay, Backpage and eBay Classified. So people are out there looking for properties. You put an ad in the local newspaper. Okay? It's very simple. Very simple. But the bottom line is this, is now you've got this deal. So now you've got a buyer. A buyer comes in, and let's say you negotiate and you get down to $40,000 down. So now you do a contract. What's a contract with a buyer? Contract, they agree to $40,000 down. The existing loan of $550,000, it stays in place for the term of 5 years, and that's it. And convey title via an agreement for sale. Buyer to pay out closing costs, close within 7 to 10 days. So now you found the buyer. Buyer's now is done. So all you have now is a contract with a buyer. You take that contract to the title company, and you instruct them to do an assignment or a double escrow, and that's it. So now how does this whole thing? When the dust settles, what happens? Well, title company. Let's say we just did an assignment. The buyer will bring in $40,000, of which $5,000 will go to the seller, right? The buyer's going to pay closing costs, so they're probably going to bring in $42,000. And the difference is going to go to you, $35,000. So now, I just asked you, I said, listen, what would you do with a lead that came in where the seller owed $550 and the house was worth $600? How would you make money off it? And not more than 5 or 7 minutes ago, some of you listening to this are going, I don't know. No light bulb. No ding, 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 ding. And you are passing on these leads all day long. Get it set up to where you have the title company that can do the paperwork for you. There's title companies all over the country that can do it. And guess what? You know what your profit margin is? Or your deal structure? Because there are buyers. Now, the buyer, why would a buyer come in and buy the property? Because he's buying the property at market or a little bit higher. But he's seller financing. He can't go out and get a bank loan. So he doesn't have a choice. If he wants to buy a property in this market today, he is going to have to find someone with seller financing. Like I said, it can work for $50,000, $100,000, $200,000, or $1 million homes. Once you understand this concept, it is priceless. It's a $1 million change in your business. Because think about it. You turn around and get $50,000 down or $40,000 down, and you get a $35,000 deal that everybody and their brother passed on because they don't get it. They don't get it. But guess what? Now you get it. Same thing happens. You got a $300,000 deal. They owe $250,000. They owe $280,000. What do? You structure it the same way. What do you have committed? You have a contract with a buyer. A contract with a seller. You have a contract with a buyer. You take both the contracts, bring it to a title company, instruct them to do a double escrow and assignment. That's it. Now, there's verbiage in the contract that you have to have all set up, and you got to learn that. And if you don't know that, then you better become a member of the Flip to Freedom Academy, because I got everything laid out there. Exactly what to say, how to contract it, how to do all that, right? But the bottom line is this, is that that's how you can make money on low equity deals. Now, I'm going to talk about another low equity deal real quick that you want to structure. It's where there's cash flow. Okay, and there's where cash flow investors will come in and buy the property. House is worth $100, they owe $95 or $80,000 or whatever, right? Let's call it $80,000. And what you do is you look at the total payments monthly, including taxes and insurance, and you look at that payment of, say, $600 a month, and you compare it to the current rental market in that particular neighborhood of, say, $1,200 a month. And if there's at least a $300 to $500 a month cash flow, there will be buyers that will line up for seller financing on a similar structure. Meaning, $60,000. You leave that $80,000 loan in place for 5 years, and all you're doing is making a spread on the down payment. You agree to give the seller $2,000. You get a buyer for $15,000 down. You make the difference, the spread, $12,000, $13,000. Okay? Very simple. And now you're marketing the property as a cash flow seller finance property. Those are huge in this market right now. Because investors, guess what? They might have too many properties on their credit. They might want to not show their financials. They are looking for something where they can come in with a minimal down payment. Typical on investment property right now, it's 25% down. So if they're going to buy a $100,000 property, guess what? $25,000 down. Where here they can get in for $15,000, $10,000 less. You follow me? So that is another way you can structure it. You can do it with higher end deals like we just talked about, or you can do it with cash flow deals. You just got to make sure the mortgage payment, including taxes and insurance, is lower, at least $300 to $500 a month lower than the current rental market. Now, first off, rules. Number one, you got to make sure there's a good loan in place. No reverse mortgages, no option arm mortgages. It has to be a good 30-year fixed or 15-year mortgage, which can be wrappable. Okay? Wrappable. Okay? You got to obviously make sure your title company can do these types of transactions. Right? And listen, don't talk to one title company and say, oh, this doesn't work. I can't find someone to do it. Okay? Don't be that lame, please. Don't talk to just one, talk to 10. I had to interview like 20-something different title companies. Why? Because, you know what? I knew someone would do it. I just had to find the right person. I had people call me up all the time and say, listen, I talked to 2 title companies. I can't find one. Okay, find another one. Next. All right. Now, no equity deals. Exactly the same thing. The house is worth $100,000, they owe $97,000. What do? You contract to give the seller $1,000 to keep them motivated in the deal, and then you turn around and you find a buyer for $10,000 down. $1,000 goes to the seller, $9,000 goes to you, and now they get to buy a house, right, with seller financing, $97,000 in place for a minimum of 5 years. Or longer. You could structure longer if you'd like. But guess how many deals like that come in? All the time. So now we have this big funnel, all the leads are coming in, you're separating motivated from non-motivated, then you're taking the motivated sellers and you're putting them into these piles. Because remember, you're not thinking in the beginning. When you're talking to a motivated seller, you're talking to sellers, you're not thinking in the billing of what they owe, any of that stuff. All you're doing is finding the story and you're understanding what the reason you're building rapport. You're asking the questions, you're determining motivation, then you're going to get in the nitty-gritty about, tell me about your house, how many bed and bath, what the condition is, how's the roof condition, how's the heating and cooling system, how's the big ticket items like plumbing and electrical, tell me about the property, has it been updated, all that stuff, right? So now you're going to find out all about stuff of the property, and then you're going to find out about what they owe, what the mortgage amount is, what the payment is, yada, yada, yada. all that stuff will fit in. And then you're going to be off the phone. Now, you're either going to make an appointment or not. I usually make, if I believe there's motivation there, and what I'm going to do is then I am going to set the appointment, then I'm going to go check my comps and stuff like that, unless I'm right in front of the computer and can do it right there. But what you do is you set the appointment with them, and now you're sitting there and you get off the phone, right? And you look at your lead sheet and go, bam, motivation level, a 10, an 8, a 7. They're motivated. But guess what? They own $97,000. You pull comps on the property, it's worth $105, right? You know, they definitely got to get out because they just got transferred. They can't afford the payments. They got to do something or let go of the property, right? What do you do? Well, hey, guess what? That's a no equity deal right there. So you pull comps, see what type of activity is in the neighborhood. You go on the appointment, and you know in your head, going to the appointment exactly what your motivation is. Okay? All right, and I got to wrap this up, man. This is going long. Okay, now, that is how we talk about low equity, high equity, mid, low equity. Now let's talk about scaling your business. Scaling your business. You know what? Let's talk about scaling your business. I was going to save this for the next episode. But let's talk about scaling your business. So now you do this. You got leads coming in. All right? You got high equity, low equity, mid equity. You know how to set motivated sellers. So now what happens is you go out and get your first check. And let's say your first check is, say, $5,000. Okay? How do you take it from a first check of $5,000 to $20, $30, $40, $50, $100,000 a month? Okay? Well, you do this. You take 15% of your earnings and you reinvest it back in the business. 15% of your earnings and reinvest it back in the marketing. Okay? So 15% of $5,000 is roughly, it's about $750. And now you spend, let's say, $750 on letters. And let's say it costs you, I'm just using round numbers here. Let's say it costs you theoretically $1 a letter. So at 750 letters times 10% is, let's say, your response rate. So now you have 75 responses, and you get one deal out of every 25 leads. So now 75 divided by 25 is 3 deals. And let's say you average $5,000 a deal. That's a total of a $15,000 profit. Okay? You follow me on that? 15% of $5,000, $750. Let's say each letter costs $1. Yeah, you have 750 letters you mailed. The response rate was 10%, which 10% of 750 is 75. You get one deal out of every 25. That's 25 divided by 75 equals 3 deals. 3 times the average is, say, $5,000 per deal. Now you have a $15,000 profit. That's month 1. Now let's say month 2 you go out and now you have $15,000. Well, 15% of $15,000 is $2,250. The same dollar per letter, you mail out 2,250 letters times 10%. You have 225 leads. Your phone's blowing up. Okay? 225 leads divided by 25. One deal per every 25 equals 9 deals times $5,000, $45,000 in profit. Do you see how real quick this business can scale if you understand the difference between motivated and non-motivated, and you only focus on the motivated and you play the numbers? Now let's talk about month 3. Now you turn around and you make $45,000. You take 15%, which is $6,000, roughly, $750. Let's say it cost you an average of $1 per letter, 6,500 letters that you mail. Now, at this particular point, you're going to have to hire a personal assistant or a VA or somebody answer the phone for you, because there's no way you can take 10% of the leads, which is 675 leads or calls are going to come in, divided by 25, that's 27 deals. Now, times 5,000 is $135,000 a month. Now, for you to do 27 deals, you are hustling. You are cranking. Yeah, you're basically going on about 30 to 40 appointments a month, only talking to motivated sellers. You're getting contracts. You're pushing them through. You're talking to sellers. You're talking to buyers. You're marketing properties, selling it. You are running. running. Now, I honestly don't work that hard. You know what I mean? I don't work that hard. Because, I could. I was on that path. Ramping it up, hire an office, have people run around, hire sales guys to turn around and go on the appointments, crank it out. No, that's why I started the Flip to Freedom Academy, and I work with students all across the country. Guess what? The students I work with, they take all the calls, and I work with them through the process and split deals with them. While I'm inspiring and working with them and motivating them, helping them build their business. Okay? So that was just my deal. But you can scale it to that if you want to. You can scale it to that level if you want to. Now, what if you just do, just 20%? Let's say you blow it, screw up, only do 20%. Well, still 20% is still $25,000, $27,000 a month of 135, right? If you blow it, 20%, 130, what? 35, that's what? $27,000 a month. You think that make a difference in your life? Absolutely. Now, I want to play this clip for you, and it's from Will Smith. Because I don't know what the deal is, but I have talked to so many people that are afraid. They have, went through courses, learned information, read blogs, read, case studies, maybe even listened to all my maybe some of you have listened to all 50 plus episodes, but you still haven't sent out letters yet, and you still haven't done what it is that's going to turn you from where you are into success. And the root of it is all comes down to just taking action. And what's the biggest action you can take? Send out letters. See, what if you don't, people go, I was talking to a gentleman, he goes, well, I don't know what to say. What do I say? What if I screw up? What if I look stupid? Who cares? Successful people don't care what people think. Listen, I know. I'm putting myself out there on this podcast and just, I know some people think I'm an idiot. They think I'm crazy. They think I'm a dork, whatever. I don't care. If I thought about, for every person that thought I was an idiot, I would have never done the podcast. Never. I know I'm a dork. I know. But who cares? I don't care. Because guess what? There might be a small percentage of people that are going, hey, this guy's giving real good content, real good information, and maybe it turns around and helps you just a little bit. That's all I can hope for. But the bottom line is to overcome that fear. People are afraid. I know I was the same way. Afraid of going out and sending those letters because of the calls that are going to come in, of the buyer, maybe talking to buyers, maybe talking to sellers. What are you going to say? What if you screw up? Well, guess what? You're going to you might screw up the first 10 calls, 20 calls, 30 calls. But after you've taken 100 or 1,000 calls like I have, well, guess what? You're not going to screw up anymore. You're going to be better. Just like anything. See, you're standing at the edge of the water, and you might not know how to swim. But guess what? I was talking to my wife. We were talking this weekend, and we're talking about kids and when they learn how to swim. We have a friend of ours that has a son, I think he's like 4 years old, and cutest little kid, and she's afraid of basically working with this kid. Now, both of my daughters went to swim class, and when they went to swim class, the teacher basically held the kid at the youngest of age, year, 2 years old, and when she counted to 3 and blew in their face, she dunked the kid under the water. Whether they're ready or not, they just... And guess what? After 4, 5, or 6, or 10, or 15 times, guess what? That kid held their breath. So my wife was like, all right, Alex, here we go. And boom. Counted to 3, under. He was shocked. His eyes turned big. He coughed a little bit. But guess what? The 4th or 5th time he got a clue real quick, and he held his breath. It's the same thing. You're sitting at the edge of the pool. Right? You got your toe in. Is the water cold? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. And you're afraid to jump in because you're going, oh my gosh, what if I can't swim? What if I can't hold my breath? What if I drown? What if something happens? What if I fail? What if I can't answer the call? What if I say something stupid? What if you don't? What if you do great? What if you call them on the phone? What if you get a motivated seller? What if you get a smoking deal? Then the other side, what if I can't sell it? What if I write the wrong thing in the contract? What if I screw up that way? What? See, I'm going to tell you this. Successful people don't think about what if it doesn't work. Successful people think about what if it does work. So if you're thinking right now, what if it doesn't work, then you're thinking on an unsuccessful path. Now, that is something that has to be consciously recognized and corrected. I think everybody's born that way of thinking, what if it doesn't work? What if I mess up? What if I can't do it? What if I'm not good enough? What if? But see, once you recognize and know that you're having all these thoughts in your head, then you got to go and say, okay, listen, I'm going to change my thinking from what if it doesn't work to what if it does work? What if I do talk to a motivated seller? What if that motivated seller is truly motivated? What if I get the house under contract? What if I do it correctly? What if I sell the house? And what if I do my first deal? Do you see the difference? There is a massive difference between that. And see, I didn't want to get into the whole law of attraction thing, at all on this because I've been way too long on this episode. But I want you to listen to this. This is Will Smith. Will Smith is one of the best people that I know that can talk about how he has become successful. Because once you understand the concept, the way he thinks, and he is such a paramount person to talk about success because he is such a doer and an action taker. He's not afraid of what people think. He just does it. And the great thing about Will Smith is he talks about what the difference between Will Smith is himself and other people. And it's definitely inspiring. I love watching it, and I want to share it with you. So let's listen to that right now.
Greatness is not this wonderful, esoteric, elusive, God-like feature that only the special among us will ever taste. It's something that truly exists in all of us. It's very simple. This is what I believe, and I'm willing to die for it.
Yeah.
Period. It's that simple.
I know who I am, and I know what I believe.
I know who I am, I know what I believe.
That's all I need to know.
And that's all I need to know. So from there, you do what you need to do.
Yeah.
And I think what happens is we make the situation more complex than it has to be.
Because we're looking for complexity. There's got to be something complex to understand.
It can't be that easy.
No.
We didn't grow up with the sense that where we were was where we were going to be. We grew up with the sense that where we were almost didn't matter because
we were becoming
right. Something greater.
The separation of talent and skill is one of the greatest misunderstood concepts for people who are trying to excel, who have dreams that want to do things. Talent you have naturally. Skill is only developed by hours and hours and hours of beating on your craft. I've never really viewed myself as particularly talented. Where I excel is ridiculous, sickening work ethic. While the other guy's sleeping, I'm working. While the other guy's eating, I'm working. There's no easy way around it. No matter how talented you are, your talent is going to fail you if you're not skilled. Mm-hmm. If you don't study, if you don't work really hard and dedicate yourself to being better every single day, mm-hmm. you'll never be able to communicate with people, with your artistry, the way that you want. So the only thing that I see that is distinctly different about me is I'm not afraid to die on a treadmill. You might have more talent than me, you might be smarter than me, but if we get on the treadmill together, right, there's two things. You're getting off first, or I'm going to die. It's really that simple.
All right, now that was phenomenal. I mean, there's nothing for me to say after Will Smith. He is one of the best people that I know that can share success mindset, success secrets with you, and that's the ticket. And I just hope you enjoyed that. Now, if you want to get more from me, go to flip2freedom.com. Flip2freedom.com. You can download my book for free, and stay tuned next week, because I have an exclusive interview for you from an extremely successful wholesaler that's in this business. It's making tens of thousands of dollars and in a different market other than Phoenix. And I want to share him with you because he's doing so well. And I like to bring, really rock stars to people. And I'm going to start bringing that to the podcast now, where I can actually talk to other people in other markets that are just kicking it. They're rocking the house. And you can kind of see and hear what they're doing, so you can take some nuggets from them and apply it to your business. Okay? So stay tuned till next week, and go to flip2freedom.com, download my free book. There's all the other 50-plus podcast episodes you can listen to in the archives as well. But thank you so much for your time, for listening. I greatly appreciate it, and I wish you ultimate success in your real estate investing career, and God bless.